Thaddeus, given that you have really spent almost your entire adult life with the forum, tell us why you have made this incredible commitment to this organization.
I believe I made a 1-year commitment and then another 1-year commitment and then another 1-year commitment. And somehow it's now been, I think it's right around half my life by this point, depending where you start the clock. I'm definitely the only person I know who's still on their first job out of college. So not such a common thing in this day and age, let alone other days and age as well. I mean, I think you'd have to go back to my childhood to really see why I ended up in a place like the forum and why it's been such a great home for me and my work. So I grew up, lots of advantages. I was in a leafy suburb, good public school system, high school, switched to a private school that looked pretty much like any New England college would look like. But at the same time, I was tutoring a 3rd grader named Dominic in the inner city school system in Dorchester. I was reading Savage Inequalities. I was reading There Are No Children Here. I was listening to Street Soldiers. And I was always keenly aware of how different my reality was from so many other people's realities. And yet at the same time, you know, when those other kids in high school somehow just didn't seem bothered by this, or at least not nearly as bothered by it as I was. I think for a number of them, and even a number of the teachers, there was kind of this sense that racism was a thing from the past and people now don't have a racist bone in their body. And so what I was thinking about and writing about at the time is what I called unconscious racism. I was trying to explore how fellow white people could feel they don't have a racist bone in their bodies and yet somehow seem perfectly content to live within and perpetuate a racist system that was put in place by our forefathers. And that latter is, you know, become now known as structural racism. But I was really trying to grapple with those concepts and really make some sense of the two realities that I was seeing. And then came Rodney King. So this is March 3rd of 1991. He was beaten by LA Police Department officers. He was struck with a baton 56 times. And so this is long before there were cell phone cameras, even video cameras were pretty rare. And so certainly while people of color knew this type of treatment was going on, for a lot of white America, and certainly for myself, seeing that video was the first time that I was conscious and knew that that was going on. And I think there was for a moment a sense that, okay, this has been caught on video, people are seeing it, change is going to happen because of that. And then about a year later, right about this time of year, it was April 29th in 1992, the rulings of the court cases came back and none of the 4 police officers were convicted as guilty. And then the LA riots began. So that's 29 years ago. I was 17 at the time. There wasn't an internet back then. And so the only way really to learn what's going on real time is in television and newspapers. And I was just glued to the TV screen and had like a huge stack of newspaper articles that I was clipping out of not just what happened to Rodney King, but the deep inequities in South Central LA that now became on the cover of the news. And then later, some of the solutions that people were putting in place somewhere. And it was just not something I could just set aside, I guess. There's a movie, Hotel Rwanda, about the Rwandan genocide. And there's this moment when finally a TV news crew comes and films what's going on. And a local activist said to the TV producers, like, thank God you're here. Now people in America are going to see what's going on. They're going to be compelled to act. And the grizzled old TV producer said, people in America are going to glance up at the television, say that's a damn shame, and are going to go right back to eating their dinner. I don't know how people do that. Like, I really don't. I don't know how people can watch George Floyd being killed and watch Breonna Taylor being killed and watch Freddie Gray being killed and Adam Toledo being killed and like just go back to picking out couch fabrics or what other ways people choose to use their limited time here on Earth. And so for me, it's more of a compulsion than a choice. Like, I literally don't know how to live life otherwise. Whatever gene it is that people have that can compartmentalize and just go back to doing whatever, I'm certainly missing. And so then the next question for me is, all right, I want to find ways to help. What assets or abilities do I do? What could I offer up in this space? I was severely socially stunted at the time. I couldn't make a friend if my life depended on it. So any type of leadership role was clearly not going to be in the cards for me. But I had a huge number of advantages in my education. Growing up in a safe environment, had access to books and libraries. We had a computer in the home long before that was even a thing. In high school, I got to do an internship with Howard Gardner. So through all these experiences, I'd become what I thought of as a good thinker, at least in the traditional Western academic sense of the term. I can research things very deeply, look across, synthesize, make new connections, propose new ideas. And so when I applied for college, I already knew that I wanted to continue to study education. And I actually don't know where I got this, but like I already had a sense that I probably would have been perfectly happy living my career in academia if the research would be used to shape policy and practice, but I had somehow figured out that most of it wasn't. And so, so I applied to Stanford, and on any Stanford brochure or whatever, they have the iconic statue of Rodin, the thinker. And so I wrote my college essay, I wrote, I am above all a thinker, but unlike the statue, I'm not content to rest idle. And so for me, the opportunity to help build an organization that was an action tank, not a think tank, an idea that drives ideas to impact, it always just felt a natural fit with who I am and what I've been trying to do. And so you put those two things together and changing the odds by moving ideas to impact. And I think if in high school I dreamed up what my dream job would be, I think I kind of got it right now. And so that's why I'm continue to be here and committed to staying here. And I just don't think there's any other place right now you can go that's advancing equity in research and policy and practices across all the systems and settings that shape young lives. So here I am.